Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel. We are joining the X space of opposition political practice. Let me just take you there.
The two-term limit was a component of the constitutional consensus achieved in 2013, supported by a popular referendum. It represents a sacred social contract between the state and citizens. Unilaterally tearing it up for political expedience shows contempt for the Zimbabwean people and destroys faith in the very concept of constitutionalism and the rule of law. And that is unacceptable. Why should we allow ED to break that social contract with the people of Zimbabwe? Saka, now the message which is very clear, as they are trying to destroy this social contract, the people of Zimbabwe have come together to unite. And for the first time, I would want to tell you, for the first time, opposition political forces, civil society, church organizations, only today, let me report to you to say, I think over 10, 15 church organizations reached out to me saying that they want to be part of this process. War veterans organizations, war veterans and different groups of veterans associations, they've been reaching out to us to say we want to be part of this agenda to resist the illegal and corrupt desire to change the constitution to suit an individual. So what they are actually doing is that they are giving impetus and fresh life to the fight for democracy in this country. For the people of Zimbabwe to come together to converge and resist this. So which is actually a huge positive. People have had their own differences. Our struggle has been long and they've been painful. But now what is happening is that this agenda by ZANU-PF is bringing us together. And even within ZANU-PF itself, there are a lot of people, let me report to this platform that there are people within ZANU-PF who have been reaching out to us to say, please, gentlemen, we are behind you fully. Should they take this thing to a referendum, we will beat them heads down because we will never vote for such nonsense.
No, that is not Monzo.
So they've created real problems for themselves. And their only response to it in terms of the problem they've created, they want to stop anybody who wants to speak out. When we gathered yesterday, they were beating up people. They arrested some people only to release them later. What regime is it in the world that bars people from holding a press conference? Have we stopped so long? But again, as I said at the beginning, we've allowed these things to happen because we've not triggered Section 97 as a people. When ED violated the Constitution left, right, and center, over and over, when Honorable Job Sikala spent nearly 2 years in pre-trial detention, we should have held them to account to say, this is not right, you are breaking the law. Last time they arrested me for a crime that happened when I was even outside the country. And they said I was at Jameson Timber's house for a meeting. And I've never, up to today, I've never been at my brother Honorable Timber's house. I've never been there. But I went to three months at Chikurubi, in pre-trial detention for a meeting that I never attended. The thing is, have we held them to account to say you are continuously breaking the law and we want you to go? We should not be even talking about the 2030 nonsense. We should be talking about ED being forced to resign because he has broken the law, the Constitution of Zimbabwe. This is not the first time he intends to break it. He has done it before, and we should trigger Section 97. So, what I want to appeal to all of us is to say, let us come together. And I think our differences are not bigger than the problems that ED wants to create now. Let's set aside those differences. Let us come together. Let us unite. I like the attitude of war veterans, churches, civil society. They are all saying, what are the next steps? We want to be part of it. And if
Eventually, you call us to the streets, we'll go en masse to show our desire to resist this evil, to change the constitution of the country. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I will give the floor back to you, our host.
Thank you very much, President Ngaruvume. Thank you very much, Jacob. I do appreciate addressing us, talking to us. The 6 points, that you've raised. I hope folks, will have a better understanding of why there is a need to respond to the Zimbabwe's constitutional crisis that is about to be unleashed on us as Zimbabweans through the resolution number 1, which ZANU-PF want to enforce, which will lead to Emmerson Mnangagwa extending his term of office by 2 years. Thank you very much for that. My sister Silenko Simoyo, it is almost 7 now. Are you ready for me? Silenko Simoyo? All right. She seemed not to be there. Right. Honorable Jobsidala. Can I come to you? Yes, can I come to you now? I'm still looking, for others. As Honorable Tadai is still there. Is still to respond to the invite, but I'm not sure. I saw Honorable Prince Tobacco in there. If I can kindly ask you, sir, to make a request, and then I'll bring you onto the podium as a speaker. But if you can also point me to the other speakers, especially from those that we're going to be speaking in Bulawayo, it would be very much appreciated. And then we can have as many of you guys, speak to us. But Honorable Jobsidala, since you're the only one, who's here, who can respond, can I give you, the floor to address us?
So we are waiting.
While Honorable is coming, Uncle, can I just ask people? So we've got over 600 people. Can we please just repost this space so that we can get a lot of people coming in to participate in the conversation? Please, if you can just repost. If you click on the comment section there, you will see an option to repost. Just asking you people to repost. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that, Mofutatas. Yeah, I think it's important that we get people to repost this. And thanks to those who are streaming on various platforms. Thank you very much for helping spread the message. I see Honorable Sidala is dropped, but Prince Tobacco Siban, Honorable, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good, Judge. How are you?
I am good, sir. I'm good. Thank you very much for coming through.
Indeed. Thank you so much for inviting us onto this platform.
Oh, yeah, very welcome. Yesterday, I saw there was somehow a kerfuffle with people dressed in civilian. What was going on there?
What happened yesterday? We woke up in the morning to reports that police officers and other people in civilian clothing had sealed the entrance to the Barawa Club, which is the venue that we had booked for the meeting, for the press conference. In fact, before I got those reports, I had received calls from the managers at the Bulawayo Club indicating that some 4 or 5 huge men came to the club a day before and told them that they shouldn't allow the press to go ahead. And that in the morning, 8 more had come. And when I inquired, then because the hotel, the club were now asking us to shift the venue because they felt that their employees and their property was no more safe from the people that I saw. And I also then got information from the system itself to the effect that instructions were given a day before yesterday to the effect that the presser should not go ahead. And I got also information that the people that were there were dangerous. In fact, I was warned that you go there at your own risk, but the people that are there are dangerous. And if you want to see, just drive by in a car and check the people that are there. So I did exactly that. I passed through the place and I saw multitudes of people dressed in police uniform, but also multitudes of bouncers, literally bouncers like those that you find in drinking clubs. So I then later learned that some of my colleagues and journalists were being chased away from the club, and then I decided to go there with the team that I had. Were close to about 20, and when I got there, I was asked where I was going, and I told them that I was going inside to hold a press conference, and then they told me that the press conference had been cancelled, and then I asked who cancelled it, and they said it is the security, and then I said which security specifically, because I need to know. And even when then I asked who these gentlemen were, because the majority of them were not in any uniform, they were civilian clothing. And apparently some of them were actually identified as bouncers, local bouncers, who might be members of ZANU-PF or who might have just been hired. In fact, some of them are combi drivers. They were identified and people continue to identify them up to today. But we also realized that there were new faces that are not common in Bulawayo. But yeah, they were menacing, they were dangerous, they were prepared to do anything. In fact, you could tell that they were very much prepared to do anything towards anyone who defied their order. So I introduced myself and told them that I booked the place and that I'd like to see the general manager. They allowed me to go in to see the general manager, who told me that, as you can see, Honorable, there's no way that I can help you. So I then went out and asked who the police officer who had ordered the cancellation of my meeting was, and they pointed to a superintendent. I talked to that superintendent, and when I asked him what his name was, he couldn't positively identify himself. So the most worrying situation to most of us is when police and other security agencies begin to collaborate or work in cows with hired men and women. That is quite worrying. Because what it means that the police and other security agents were now taking instructions from other people that are not security personnel. And that is quite a dangerous situation. So we ended up in leaving that place, because we then had been told that amongst them there were some snipers that were there, and those people are identified snipers. That they were ready to shoot at anyone and kill. So we then left the place, the venue, and we regathered. But even as we went, we were being followed by these hired goons, threatening and menacingly to all that were there. So we went and tried to regroup, but we could see that they were following us. We had a brief discussion amongst ourselves as a team, and we agreed that maybe for purposes of peace, let us disperse, and we agreed that we were not going to hold another presser at another venue, because it was a general feeling by colleagues that the disruption itself was so newsworthy that our presser would dilute it, and that our presser and statement can be given in any other form ever. So that's what we went through yesterday, Uncle Chris.
Thank you very much, for giving us, the lowdown of what happened yesterday. But despite that disruption and the spirited efforts to want to try and address, the people, which could not, happen, yesterday, you tried your level best, to make it work. But, due to our circumstances, it was not possible. So I'll give you this opportunity, Honorable, to talk to us, to address us. The same way that you wanted to address us yesterday. Please, can you continue?
Thank you so much, Archibald. I think, this story of attempting to literally muzzle and control the Constitution of Zimbabwe by Emmerson Mnangagwa can be traced back to of course, the common 2017 one we know, but also to immediately after the 2018 elections. That's when Emmerson started to decimate the Constitution, and with a sole intention of making sure that he controls each and every institution of authority in this country. Any institution that is supposed to be a buffer towards human rights and democracy, he made sure that he decimated them or he controlled them, and they report directly to him. So his first point of call was to make sure that he removed the running mate clause. That's how daring this gentleman is. He's so daring when it comes to power. He wants it at any cost. So he removed the running mate, and the running mate is his running mate. Theoretically, or if you look at it politically, was General Chiwenga, the man who a few months earlier had assisted him to ascend to power. He's the first person that he demobilized. He made sure that he doesn't want to share the power of presidents with anybody. It has to be with him and him alone. Then he went for the judiciary. He reversed the appointment of the Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, and Judge President of the High Court from being appointed through a publicly conducted interview. And then he said he was going to appoint them directly. So when we ignored the running mate clause, we told ourselves as Zimbabweans that but we didn't know that ultimately you get at us, all of us together. So he then captured the judiciary by making sure that the three most powerful judicial positions pay allegiance to him. And make no mistake, Uncle Betts, in the history of this nation, ever since civilization and some kind of governance started in this country, there was never a time when a judge was invited to State House to discuss about a case like we saw here pertaining to the case of Mzongo's son. A judge was summoned to State House. Come here. But we are grateful the judge then after that recused herself from the matter, which was ethical in my view. But we have never seen it before. It has never been recorded that a judge, a sitting judge of the High Court, is invited to State House to be questioned about a case that she is presiding on. Then after that, he increased the term of office of the Chief Justice and made the Chief Justice to enjoy that amendment, even though he was an incumbent and who was not supposed to benefit from the extension of the term limit. He made him to do that. No referendum, nothing. Now, if now he says, I also want to extend mine, Chief Justice, I extended yours. Which court will you go to try and reverse that? Show me which court Zimbabwe will go to say, no, this person wants to extend their term of office. And that we find that to be unlawful.
It's the court
Can you interpret?
in the streets. We take it to our own hands.
How do you think Chief Justice Malaba is going to deal with that matter? Remember that there were judges of the High Court that eventually made the ruling that he could not benefit from the extension of limit of time. And what happened? They were censored. Those judges were censored. So, this is the situation that we have. After he captured the judiciary, he then used the judiciary to decimate the opposition. And the test run was in 2020, after the judgment by Justice Patel. Mozora and Kupe took over the party, and they started chasing whoever. They were doing work for E.D. Mnangagwa. And it was after that, those recalls that the amendment number 1 and amendment number 2 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe were introduced in Parliament. And then we come to 2023. In fact, some of us were being recalled in order to facilitate Constitutional Amendment number 1 and number 2. When we went back after a by-election, those had already been passed. And then come 2023, everyone knows what happened in 2023. It doesn't happen in a normal democracy that a person can arise from nowhere and call himself a position that is not known to anybody, and then decimate the opposition. Now we don't have a parliament in terms of what we envisaged in the 2013 constitution, the Zito Party. We don't have a parliament. We don't have a parliament because it has become a parliament where the opposition, despite a reasonable number, in fact, in 2023, ZANU-PF had not achieved the 2/3 majority. We had 103 members of parliament. So even trying to circumvent the referendum would not have worked with the parliament that we had in 2023, the parliament that had been elected in 2023. If it had remained in the manner that it was elected, people, even with those results that are questioned in some respects, but still, ZANU-PF and E.D. Mnangagwa would not have managed. So in order to get that beyond 2/3 majority, he had to decimate so ruthlessly, and so brazenly. During daylight, while everyone is watching, it started like a drama. Some of us, when it started, we said this is a drama. Because this chairman is known by nobody. You can call anyone in the street and they'll tell you that we don't know this one in this party. But yes, he was allowed to decimate parliament. What for? For this moment that we find ourselves now. Chabang was an ED 2030 project. And it was being run from the office of the president. We are aware that some letters that were written by Chabang would be withdrawn by Isaac Mo then when he was Director General, and going to instruct him to say, no, this one, remove them from the list. It was controlled directly and paid for from the president's office. Legal fees for Chabang were paid directly from the president's office. And when the president's office stopped, it was paid by Sampanya through the assistance of Jacob Mdenga. That if you don't assist this guy with legal fees, you know, this matter is going to be reversed and you are no longer going to be paid. So they paid legal fees. Meanwhile, judges were also instructed, try to find, because at one time we are aware that Chabang was told that we are no longer going to give you the judiciary cover. And for sure, that is the case that he seemingly lost, but of course was then corrected, if you put it in quotations. So all that was being done in order to allow E.D. Mnangagwa, not even 2030 that you are talking about. He wants to abolish the right to vote. Mnangagwa wants to become a king, Munumtapa. No wonder why all these funny celebrations about Munumtapa Day coinciding with his birthday. He wants to be king. Look at how frequent the visits to Swaziland have been by Mnangagwa. He wants to go and copy something there, so that he comes to become a king. Now, what it means is that we are going to be ruled forever by a cabal, one man and a cabal. But we can't allow that to happen.
Okay.
We can't afford to allow that to happen. And E.D. Mnangagwa has got to know that. He can threaten us with death. He can threaten us with anything. He can try to bribe us with his money. But our unchangeable position is that we cannot allow democracy to continuously being receded by an individual. What for? For what benefit to the nation? When people went unanimously to go and vote for that constitution in a referendum, they had put up an architecture that we are not going to have an imperial president. We are not going to have a one-man show running our country, controlling our institutions, and looting our resources unabated. That's not what they dreamt of. They wanted a president who could be checked by his deputy, because they were both elected. They wanted a president who could be checked by the judiciary. They dreamt of a president who could be brought to account by parliament. He has reversed everything. So that cannot happen, Auntie Bets. Zimbabweans will not allow that. Some of us are committed to face death. If it will be recorded that we were fighting for what was right. So the purpose of the press conference was to disseminate information to Zimbabweans, to understand that this thing that is being talked about is not a joke. We are dealing with a daily person that unless all of us together, we stand to stop the desecration of democracy. It is not only the desecration of the Constitution, it is of the democracy. You won't have a voice anymore. Because even if you try to raise your voice, they'll arrest and detain you. There's no judiciary that will help you. No wonder why Walter Mzembe is saying that he should remain there. We have already heard the pronouncement that he should remain inside until. So you have no judiciary, you have no parliament, you are on your own in a prison cell. Or they kill you. But that's not the country that those who went to war went for.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that was lovely. Thank you very much, Honorable, for the message of defiance and the call for unity. The way you've articulated this, wow. And you've given us some information that most of us, did not know that, this is what is happening in our country, and this is what was, going on. And the history lesson that you've given there, that speaks to the journey that was being traveled. It's quite profound and quite important for people to be knowledgeable so that they begin to understand why you guys and the rest of the people that wanted to speak yesterday saw it fit that they should address the Zimbabwean folks, the Zimbabwean people, pertaining to a constitutional crisis that is about to unfold in Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, Honorable Prince. I do appreciate it. Now, I want to move on, ladies and gentlemen, for the sake of time. I don't know, my sister, Selenkos Moyo, are you there with us now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Are you ready to speak?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, thank you very much. I take it you were there yesterday, and as you said, earlier on, there's something, that happened yesterday.
Yeah. Evening, everyone. Evening. My name is Selenkos Moyo. I'm the Deputy National Spokesperson of the National Democratic Working Group led by Dr. Stan.
Oh.
So I'm one of the progressive force leaders that have come and united under the banner to 2030. But yesterday, as you have seen in the past week, that we advertised that we are going to have a presser yesterday. So when I went there in Bulawayo, this side, it was raining yesterday. So the other members that went there first, they assessed the situation, then they saw that it was tough. So for me, my phone was off. So I went straight to the venue. So when I approached the venue, I saw people outside. They were wearing civilian clothes. So I thought maybe they are with us. They are waiting since it was not timing. So as I approached, I realized no, these are not normal civilians, because they were not smiling, they were serious, and they were only bouncers. I think there were 15 men of them, 15 men. So when I approached there, when I approached the door, they blocked the door. There were 3 women, they jumped and they surrounded me. The other one stood next to the other side, the other stood next to the other side. So that's when I realized that no, this is no longer what I was thinking. So this is it. This is them. So quickly they asked me, where are you going? So I also thought that since my face was on that poster and circulating, so I thought maybe the way they reacted, I saw that they were really waiting for that face. So they asked me, Madam. So the other one, he came after and he said, Madam, where are you going? Then I said, I want to go inside. Then he said, what do you want to do inside? Then I said, I want to see someone. Then he said, who is that someone? Then there was just a name that I said, I want to see someone called Dumsani at the reception. Then he said, what does that Dumsani do? Because I had to change my story, because I saw that it was no longer safe for me. Then I said, no, you accept the reception. But our facilitator from the regional southern region, he had went inside. He also disguised himself that he wanted to check the venue, he wanted to book the place. So when he came out, he realized that I was being interrogated. So he held my hand and he said, no, it's fine, let's go. But to my surprise, when I realized some of the faces, familiar faces, some of the people that we work there, where we work. So I was very disappointed. Yeah. So all I can say, to the Zimbabweans and the people at large is that what we are fighting is bigger than we think. And I realized that this 2030 is a big project. And all I can say is that the ZANU-PF will stop at nothing to protect it. They are ready to defend it and protect it. So if us, we are also saying no, we want to also defend it, I think we need more calculated measures. We need very, very stringent measures that can match their level. So we need all hands on the deck to stop it, because when we go to, when they are, now I realize that as Prince Dubego say that now they are also trying to ban the elections. So if they ban the elections are the only way Zimbabweans express themselves. And if I remember very well, there's another time when President Mnangagwa always said that the voice of the people is the voice of God. So that voice of the people is only heard mostly through elections where they elect their leader. We all know that the people of Zimbabwe, they've spoken, and they always speak in every 5 years. They always select their leader, but the outcome becomes something else that we don't even know. So by banning these elections, we are saying, President Mnangagwa, what you promised us, or what you say that the voice of the people is the voice of God, we are now banning that voice. So who are you leading? What are you doing? Because as the citizens, we are not happy with what is happening. So we are saying, please try and look at what you are doing. Try and look, don't like he mustn't listen to people that like those guys that are called Zikana. Those guys that are in it for themselves. I don't know who is advising him. Like what happened in Parliament, honestly. You see a whole Parliament for a country doesn't have a backup for lightning, because in other places, other businesses, as soon as there's a cut off, the backup plan or the solar is turned on itself. But for something like Parliament, that was very, very embarrassing, and it's for the second time. So all I can say to the people of Zimbabwe is that this thing that we are facing is not a small thing, it's a bigger thing, and it has been planned, and it has been well calculated. So if we're saying we are defending it or we are rising up, I think we need to stand up more, put more pressure. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much, my sister, for that. I do understand, the frightening situation that you found, yourself in, and, finding out that some of the folks, that were part and parcel of that. Well, that could, that is something that is so disheartening. But thank you for adding your voice. Thank you for the reminder that you have given people that this thing, ladies and gentlemen, if it is not resisted, it is bigger than, this thing is bigger. And if it is not, resisted, we are going to find ourselves under a different animal, divorced from what we know, as a people. So thank you very much for that. I want to move on. But before I move on, can I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, we are over 1,000 here. If you can repost this, it would be very much appreciated. It would be very much appreciated if you can repost. Right now, I can only see the reposts, that have been done. 96 reposts, and we're over 1,000 here. Please, we want your participation in helping others as well to come through and be in a position to hear what the distinguished men and women who are here are saying with regards to the agenda, constitutional crossroads, citizens' response to Zimbabwe's constitutional crisis. Right, let me move on. Right, Honorable Job Sikala, you're in and out. I don't know what is going on, but I've got Honorable Tendai Biti. How are you?
Yeah, good evening, Comrade Mapels and fellow Zimbabweans and compatriots.
Thank you very much, for joining us. Thank you very much, for responding. Yesterday, I was looking forward, to hear you make, your full address. But even though I heard you speak, here and there, but I knew that, looking at you and knowing you, I knew that, there's a lot, that you wanted, to say. So I'll give you this opportunity, Honorable Tendai Biti, if you can, speak to us.
Thank you very much, Gerald, and thank you for creating this platform to allow citizens to speak on an issue, the threat to our constitution, which personally I consider the biggest existential threat that our country has faced since independence, probably since Kukura Wundi. This is the threat to turn our country into a monarchy. This is a threat to turn our country into a dynasty, a Mafiti, a dynasty. This is a threat to completely privatize our capacity as citizens to fight back. This is a threat to privatize and take away from us our sovereignty, our right to govern ourselves and to leave it monopolized by a cartel, by a clique, and by a syndicate. And the unfortunate thing about this syndicate is that there's been a conflation between the political elite, the political syndicate, and mafia syndicate that has been grabbing Zimbabwean assets legally and extra-legally, that is engaged in massive looting through public tenders. So this is the crisis we are facing, a huge, humongous crisis. I think the starting point must be, what is this constitution? This constitution represents an agreement, a compromise between the people of Zimbabwe, which we ratified, which we agreed to in the referendum that was held in March of 2013, in respect of which 93% of the people that voted in that referendum, equivalent to about 3.2 million people, ascended to that new contract, a new constitution. This was after a period of 3 years, 4 years of protracted negotiations between and amongst the Zimbabweans, followed by two very contentious all stakeholders conference. So this was a people-driven process born from public participation, in respect of which there was symbiosis, there was harmony between the end product and the people of Zimbabwe, in respect of which every Zimbabwean could identify with a certain structure, could identify with a certain principle. So if you are all veteran, you would have been very proud to know that the preamble of that constitution celebrates the three great Mrengas that we have had. You would have been very pleased to know that the founding values, one of the founding values we have in this country, is the founding values of the liberation struggle. Those of us who came from the democratic polity would have been impressed by articles such as Article 2.1, which says that the Constitution is the supreme law of the country, and any act, conduct, or law inconsistent with the same is invalid to that extent. So we sought to create a new Zimbabwe. We sought to create a new society. We sought to create a new discourse. We sought to create a new consensus. And one of those consensus that we sought was that we did not want to see the presence of an all-powerful authoritarian president, what Prince Duveko has said, an imperial president. So we cut the huge powers that President Mugabe had, which arose after the collapse and conflation in 1987 of the office of the erstwhile normative president in the form of Kenan Banana and the executive prime minister. So this new individual found himself having crown powers and executive powers to create a very powerful imperial president. So one of the things that we sought to deal with in 2018 was this edifice of an imperial president that had been created largely in 1987 by conflicting the crown powers found in the titular president, Comrade Sotindo Banana, and the executive powers of a prime minister. Another thing that we sought to deal with was the issue of power transfer, the issue that the state could not regenerate, the issue that we had a president who had been in power for 34 years and seemed to want to go on forever. And connected to that, inextricably connected to that, was the issue of succession. It was clear that we had a succession battle, just like now. So to deal with these issues, we created the term of office provision, the limited terms of office provision. And if you ask me, what is the most important basic structure of this constitution? It is actually the provision limiting the term of office of the country's chief executive officer, the president. Because 5 years is a very small period of time in one's lifetime. And if we like you and we have to give you another 10 years is a very small period in time. What do time limits do? Time limits encourage accountability, because when you are elected in office, you know very soon that you will be a civilian. So you will restrain yourself. You will act with deference. You will act with deterrence. Because one day you are powerful, and the next day you are an ordinary wananchi walking in the streets of Harare or Bulawayo. Another thing to deal with the issue of transfer, we created the issue of the running mates, and we made 2 of them. So the issue of the unresolved succession issue was settled by creating a running mate to run with the president, to be elected by the president. Of course, this was unpopular in certain circles who saw a running mate as a second center of power. But what they didn't know was that Zimbabweans were creating a new trajectory of certainty and stability. Because wherever you have succession uncertainty, succession ambiguity, you make inevitable and unavoidable conflict, including, as we saw in 2017, the implosion of a military coup. But our constitution was much more than all these things. There were other things that were clear to citizens, which are still important now. One of them, of course, is the issue of devolution. One of them is the issue of transparency and accountability around our financial resources codified in sections such as 300 of the Constitution. One of them is the issue of the land question codified in Chapter 16 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. One of them are the principles of government that you find in Chapter 9 of the Constitution. One of them is the 4 pillars of the Constitution that include the Human Rights Commission, the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Gender Commission, the National Peace and Reconciliation Commission. These 50 state institutions were meant to create an additional checks and balance to the traditional cycles of power between parliament, executive, and the judiciary. So it was a modern progressive constitution. Now I come to the present threat. ZANU-PF does not have the unilateral right of seeking to amend a basic structure of the Constitution, namely the term of office provision. And those of you who are familiar with our Constitution, it's not just the president who has terms of office, judges have terms of office. Security sector, big chiefs, they've got terms of office. There's a limited terms of office of the commander of the army, the commander of the intelligence, the commissioner general of the police, the commissioner general of prisons, and other. That typifies how we valued this, term office. And we said, fine. In Section 328, a term of office can be changed, but it can only be changed through a referendum. So firstly, 2/3 majority in parliament, and then through a referendum. But even if one were to succeed through this difficult task of a referendum, you would require, so that change, that constitutional change would not serve the incumbent. So in other words, we created a disincentive for an incumbent to push for a constitutional amendment that would not benefit you. If you're crazy enough and so driven, you hold an insatiable desire for power, you want it to benefit you, you have to go through another referendum. But this referendum and the first referendum cannot be held concurrently. So two separate referenda. That is the law. That is section 327, bracket 7 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe. Now, they are now trying to cook, to create what I call legal prostitutionalism, dubious legal arguments to deal with and to try to subvert the constitutional provisions that there are terms of office and that you can't avoid them except through referendums. There are three variants of this schism to cheat and facilitate a coup against the Constitution of Zimbabwe. The first variant is what you have seen in a document called the Breaking Barriers Initiative. That document proposes that we amend Section 91 of the Constitution of Zimbabwe to allow the president to be elected by parliament and not directly by the people of Zimbabwe. The BBI proposal proposes that we extend the term of office of the current parliament to 2035, not 2030. So according to the BBI, the next election will be held after 2035. According to this mendacious satanist proposal, the current president, Mr. Mnangagwa, will be deemed to have been elected in terms of the new constitution. And further, these amendments, the BBI amendments, must be implemented before the current president has served 3 years from August of 2023 when he was sworn in as president. The reason why the 3 years are important because our constitution is very clear in section 92 that a full term is 3 years and above. So they want to do this before he reaches 3 years so that they can pretend that he didn't serve any term to justify giving him a blank 5 years that gets you to 2030. Meaning that the proponents of the BBI would have wanted to see this constitutional amendment passed and actualized before December of 2025, when the president would have served 2 years and 3 months from August of 2023. Fortunately, it's no longer possible for that proposal because a constitutional bill has to lie in state for a minimum of 90 days, and we are nearing the year end, so that window is passed. The BBI proposal is dangerous because parliamentarians also fall into that category of people with 10 minutes because the term of parliament is fixed in terms of section 143 of the Constitution, read together with section 158. It's a 5-year term calculated from the day that the president is sworn in to 30 days before the end of the full 5 years. In other words, if we had the election in August of 2023, then 5 years ends in August of 2028, and the election must be held on any day within the 30 days from 23 August 2028. That's the term of office of Parliament. So you would also need a referendum to extend the term of Parliament to either 2030 or to 2035. So it doesn't work. It's with great respect, a horrible argument that cannot hold water. My biggest disappointment lies in one or two of the individuals associated with this process. I have so much respect for some of them. I can't mention their names, but I think they've let our people down, which is why I always argue that we cannot trust individuals, and we should build institutions on the basis of trust, because you never know how an individual can turn up tomorrow. So that's the first option. The second option that they have, which I suspect is going to be pushed by the Minister of Justice, is just a simple amendment to the Constitution to simply extend, the term of office of the President and Parliament to 2030, and then argue that we don't need, we've not extended terms, we've just extended time limits. There is a dubious argument that is now being made between a time limit and a term limit. The genesis of this distinction derives from a constitutional court judgment called Max Mupungu and others, versus Minister of Justice and others, in respect of judges and the controversy around the Chief Justice, which Prince Duyeko referred to. The Justice Patel and the majority of the Supreme Court made this distinct provision only in relation to judges between a time limit and a term limit. But that same judgment makes it clear that for everything else, including the President and commanders of the army, they can't avoid the process in Section 328 of the Constitution. So I find it something disturbing that people actually rely on a judgment that actually deals effectively and defeats their own argument. The third strange option is the option coming from someone that I have so much respect for, and that is Mr. Tawanda Nyambirai. He has earned his respect, and we as Zimbabweans respected. Mr. Nyambirai now suddenly says there's a lacuna, there's a gap in our Constitution, that there is ambiguity about the definition of a term limit, that we don't know. The Constitution is ambiguous about whether it's 5 years or 7 years. And to the extent that there is this lacuna or deficit, there is nothing that prevents Parliament from simply declaring that the term of office of the President is 7 years or 8 years without the need of the referendum. Now, this is downright dishonest, because the Constitution is very clear in Section 91, in Section 95, in Section 143, in Section 158 of what a term of Parliament is, what a term of the President is 5 years. Even Mr. Mnangagwa himself, in the interview that you, Gerald, referred to with Christine Amanpour, he recognizes that one is 1 5-year term, which can be extended if you are re-elected. So the total absolute period you can serve as head of state is 10 years. When citizens think this law, I think it's a disaster. You know, I'm a Christian, and for someone who purports to be a Christian to think this law, it's reflective of the corrosive effect of money and bribery that is sunk into our economy. So these three submissions don't hold water at all, and I thought I would simply deal with them. So we saw the brutality of the police, the brutality of state agents, the burning of Surface Trust, the destruction of Gilbert Mendes' premises the day before yesterday, his house in Highfield. But I'm pleased that what I saw yesterday from the colleagues, that we were playing hide and seek with the police yesterday, my brother Job Scala, Prince Duveko Sibanda, the comrades in Bulawayo, Senator Timba, Advocate Gumbo, Obed Masaraore, Jacob Ngarigume, Munyarazi Gwisai, and the thousands and thousands of people that I saw yesterday. I want to assure ZANU-PF, I want to assure Mr. Mnangagwa that Zimbabweans will not allow this, and it is regrettable that a man who was protected to protect the Constitution, a man who has a duty to protect the Constitution, is now abandoning and desecrating that Constitution. An institution, Parliament, elected to protect the constitution in terms of section 114, 116, 117, is now singing and twerking as they were doing shamelessly to defend that constitution. We, the ordinary Wanainji of this country, are prepared to pay the ultimate price with our own lives to defend this constitution. I thank you very much, Gerald Belt.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much, for that, for giving us, the three possible that you said, one of it is no longer because of, the time frame. But can I ask you on the argument presented in the BBI, or on argument that speaks to a full term, somebody serving 3 years and above would have said full term. And this BBI was envisaged to come into effect. That proposal was being envisaged to come into effect the 22nd of December 2025. And now, with what you've said, that we've got a 90-day period that a bill needs to be consulted on, brought to the public, etc. So if you're looking at that time frame, it is 2 years and 3 months. And on the understanding that a full term is 3 years and above, there is exactly about 9 months period. Can they not try to push this Agenda 2030 via that route which says the president, which says that he has not served the full 3 years, and therefore they can manipulate that and say whatever period that they would want to then use to say that his second year now starts from maybe 7 months down the line from now to the 7 months to the corresponding 7 months in 2030. Is that route still possible, or you're saying that because of the time that is needed to go through everything that needs to be done, that route is no longer feasible for them?
Well, their holy grail is the year 2030. So that is what they've been pushing. So if they want Mnangagwa to be president until 2030 on the basis of the Nicodemus BBI submissions, then he has to be president from 1st of January 2025, meaning that the constitutional amendment would have been passed by December of 2025, in a few months' time. However, the BBI formula is still operative as long as they can try and push a bill before August of 2026, but it will no longer be 2030, it will now be 2031. But whatever formula that they want to use, whether the Nyambirai formula, whether the Ziambi formula, whether the BBI formula, an extension of time, the definition of term limit in section 328 simply means that any additional day from your original package of 5 years is deemed to be an extension. Therefore, you can't avoid the imperative of section 328. Therefore, you can't avoid double referendum. The first referendum to alter the term limit, the second referendum to have it benefit you. And as Prince has said, it's as we keep on emphasizing, it's impossible to push this process. Zimbabweans will not allow this. They are totally against this, which is why anyone pushing this agenda is only pushing this country to an implosion, because you can't seek to push something that is impossible without expecting an impossible reaction in the form of an implosion. So the legal arguments which are dealt with here are just an excuse of trying to do what they want to do. But the bottom line is that it is a constitutional coup d'etat, and we will not accept that. And thank God, the majority of all veterans, the majority of state institutions in this country, the majority of citizens in this country, overwhelmingly are totally and absolutely against this obscene constitutional incest.
Right. Thank you very much. for that. I do appreciate. I want to move on to Honorable Job Scala. Honorable, are you able to speak now?
Honorable James, am I clear?
Yes, you are. Please go ahead.
No. Thank you very much for hosting us today to discuss this very important subject that is affecting all the citizens. Our commiserate sympathy to Professor and that's as
Honorable Scala, we are struggling, to hear you. Yeah, we are struggling to hear you. Can we go to Plan B? Honorable Scala? Right. I'm struggling to hear you, Honorable. So I'm going to Plan B, Honorable. Let's see, if this works.
Attacked almost same time around the early hours of the morning of the day, around 2, 3, 4 past.
Right. Let me remove you, Honorable Scala, because it's not working. But let me try. Let me try this one more time, and then I'll see if it works. Right. I'm trying to connect him, ladies and gentlemen, via WhatsApp now, because he has been saying that his network is not stable. So let me see if I can connect with him via WhatsApp, and I'll bring him through via WhatsApp, because as it stands right now, it's going to be difficult to hear him speak. Because, yes, hello, Honorable Scala, how are you doing? No, you are not. You are breaking. So you are now live now, so you can continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, that's the thing of it. For opening up a more clearer okay. What I was saying is
A call, I think, was
that I was saying,
Right. Hello, Honorable Scala. I'm struggling again. I'm struggling. It's not connecting properly. I'm struggling again. It's not connecting properly. Yeah, you are breaking. It wasn't connected, properly. So, can you try and speak now?
No, I'm hearing you very clearly. I don't know whether I'm being heard clearly by your other on the other end.
It is now clear. So let's try this one more time. It is now clear.
It is now clear. I can go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
No, thank you very much, Uncle James. What I was saying is that I wanted to pay sympathies to Professor Ivo Mandaza for the terrorist attack that happened yesterday at Surface Trust, the venue which was scheduled to host this most important presser yesterday. The terrorist attack was done on the same fashion which was done at my house on the 30th of August this year, when the same kind of terrorists came and bombed my house. And the trend of the bombing that happened at Professor Ivo Mandaza premises yesterday are almost similar to what has happened to other people whose houses have been subject to terrorist bombing of recent past. So it shows that all those people whose houses have been bombed in the recent past, it points to the people who are currently in the system. So specifically, we sympathize with him. We condemn the act of terrorism that happened yesterday. And we hope all the citizens of this country will condemn the act that happened yesterday. Secondly, I would like to thank, the colleagues who are with us into this collective coalition, who have agreed to put their heads together and find the methods of how to deal with the intensity tyranny in our country. It is never been envisaged, even by the enemy, that the opposition forces in our country will be able to coalesce together, come out with one single agenda to deal with the closure of political space in our country. Recently, you've seen the headlines which they were giving each other in their newspapers. That ZANU-PF was now claiming that they have completely managed to destroy.
Yes, sorry. Sorry about that. I'm returning shortly. Just bear with me. I'm returning shortly. I don't know what happened.
Any form of opposite.
I think it's the network.
Citizens of our country to come together, it became a very huge challenge against them. They never expected that the people of Zimbabwe will be able to come together once more again for them to confront the beast that is destroying our country. So I would like to congratulate all our friends and colleagues who have managed to put aside the narrow differences people might have for us to concentrate and deal with the elephant in the room.
It is not definitely on my side. I think it has something to do with the network of Job Sikala. It has something to do with the network of Job Sikala. And also apparently at the moment, the host is also...
So I thank the people of Zimbabwe for this edition that was given by Honorable Prince Duleko Swad. That it started likely, when he started to abolish the running mate clause in our constitution. Of course, many people who have been in the opposition at that time did not.
Yeah, I think so. They are trying to get hold of
upon himself so as to get issues of political benefit. All of us, we must blame all of us because we did not manage to realize that was the beginning of a man who wanted to entrench absolute power into himself. After that came the period when
So it's breaking in. It's not definitely from my side. It is breaking in and coming in, most probably because they are connecting from its WhatsApp via X Space. Let's keep on waiting for a few minutes on whether Job Sikala is gonna come again. It's not clear at the moment now. I don't know what is happening. Let me see if maybe I can get a connection.
in Parliament. The person is suspected. We're going to.
Yeah, the problem is not definitely from my side. Let's just be the line of Job Sikala is quite poor, even on WhatsApp. I think this speaks to the current state of affairs in Zimbabwe. I'm still connected. As soon as he comes through, definitely you will hear. Let me try and maybe see if I can go out and reconnect again. Let me see.
$75 years. So the issue of the expectation of all right. Honorable Scala, yes, you are breaking now, and we can't make out what you are saying. Can you? I'm not sure whether you've moved from where you were in last 2 minutes ago, but we are struggling here to.
It's definitely not working. Let me try to get out and get in again. Just bear with me. Let me try to get out and get in again. Maybe it was an interesting discussion that we are following, and we are learning a lot from that discussion. Let me try to take you through again, and maybe this time around we may be lucky. We are listening to the Constitutional Crossroads.
The three-member High Court judges who presided over the application that was brought before it said that the Constitution is judicial of any form of extension of a term of office. And those judges. I think even Justice Justice now, after she obtained death threats and also when the matter was taken in the Constitutional Court to the same judges who were beneficiaries of the extension of the term of the letter can appeal by the Chief Justice of the Judicial Service Commission and against it. The High Court. Right. Okay. Now we are struggling. I wanted to do justice, to your presentation, but what is happening is you are breaking up so much that we can't even piece together what you are saying. I'm not sure, how I can, make this work, anymore. But we are having, that challenge, whereby at one point you are coming out, clear, and then when you're about to be making, these important, points, then they are getting, muzzled up, and when you then go on to the next one, we will not have understood what you're saying, previously, which is, I'm not sure, how I can resolve, that issue now, because I'm losing you at crucial, moments of your presentation.
So definitely his phone may be backed by the members of the Central Intelligence Organization if it's not the issue of network. So we are still waiting to hear what
to package whatever remaining points that he had into a summary, and then the main points that you want to put across. Let us try and do that because I'm not hearing exactly what you're saying because of this problem.
Let me change the position and see whether it might. Is it better now?
Somebody says somebody says go on top of the roof. Yeah. Can you? Yeah. Let's try this one more time. Yes, let's try this one more time.
I know the challenges of network, especially when you want to talk something.
So the extension of office did not start with Emerson Mnangagwa. Since the higher president came of office in 2030. After the money the term of office of the current Chief Justice from continuing to serve after having reached the age of 70 to 75. So that was the first bite already by the Emerson Mnangagwa regime.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think because it's not from my side, I was intending to cover this, for the longest period of time, but when it comes to Job Sikala, we are not getting, I've tried to raise the volumes as much as possible. I've got the best system here, but it is not working. I don't know what I will do. Let me try to get out and maybe get in for the second time. Maybe we may be lucky, but from the look of things at the moment, people want to hear what Job Sikala will have to say. I see there is another speaker there. Let me see. If we win, we will continue. If we can't,
the opinions that have been given by several lawyers in our country in Ocean 2030, correctly so, as such, and not only supported in terms of the provision of our own constitution, but also in terms of our fight is not only supported in terms of our own constitution. Our own constitution, which was said to have quoted from the international.
It's really terrible, bad. What I will do, I think I'll have to stop. Let me just give it some time. Please bear with me. At this moment, Job Sikala. We are really struggling. To get the voice of Job Sikala.
No government or no regime shall be allowed to besides that, those people who
They call it the third term. They call it the third term. African template of leaders who want to extend to get fixed. They are saying it is a coup against the people. Then secondly, they are talking about the amendment of the Constitution for the
Yeah, I think I'm sorry, it's not coming from me. It's from the space, and unfortunately, the host is allowing.
Constitutions for the purpose.
The host is allowing this to go on. Definitely, we cannot continue like this.
Right. Honorable Scholar. It's a constitutional change of government. How much else? You are laboring. The way that it is coming out, it seems as if you are laboring. To speak. It is not coming out, clearly. I think. I'm not sure now. As much as I want you to be, I'm trying to see how I can drag this on, but it is not working properly.
The quality is very poor.
So I'm afraid I really wanted to hear you speak, but at this juncture it is not working. I don't know what is going on. Previously I've never had a problem with you. Even when you come through via the stress. Yes. Absolutely.
Let me see whether among my kids here there is somebody with an X account so that I can try to use theirs. So
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let us try.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, let us try because I really want to hear you. Let us try that, as an option. Yeah. But in the meantime, on the podium, I still have Honorable Tenai Honorable.
What is happening with their space? Let me try to get out and get in again for the last time. If we can't win, then that will be it. I would have tried. It's not my fault. It's definitely not from this side. It's from where we are taking. I would have loved to actually proceed with this. Let's see. Now the space is totally quiet. It's totally quiet. I don't know what is happening. Let me laugh and leave you at the moment. Thank you very much.
Engage the audience, maybe take one or two questions. If there's anyone with a question, and you can be in a position to respond, to those. So I'm speaking to Honorable Tenai, Honorable Prince Tobacco, and President Jacob Pino Karifume. Is this okay with you guys?
Yeah, it's okay with me.
Thank you very much.
That's okay. That's fine.
Right. Thank you very much. Right. So, guys, whilst I'm waiting, I'm hoping that Honorable Scholar, will come through. But what we want to do, our time is now 18:21, and I've been told that this was going to be like a 4-hour show, so what I want us to do, right now is I want to bring up 3 people at a time, and I want people that have got questions that they want to pose to our panel, and these questions they have to do with the issues that we are speaking about today. This issue of the 23rd agenda and this issue of resistance from the citizens. I know there's a burning question out there
where people are messaging me and saying, Kuti, Uncle, can you ask
I don't know what is happening, really, ladies and gentlemen, with this space. It just goes quiet on its own. Let me do this, try to connect again. Maybe, okay. Let me just go back again, try my luck again, see whether
we have talked about what has been presented, and so we want to limit, our questioning to be around, those issues. Any other questions that you might be having, I'm afraid we will not be entertaining them, and I and my co-host will turn right to remove people that they want, to disturb, the process. But on that note, I'll just add, a few people to,
Yo, I don't know what is going on there.
Mokutai, you come through, you add. I'm going to be asking Simoka Zimbabwe. Simoka Zimbabwe, you said you needed, 3 minutes. Can I allow you 2 minutes, and then please pose the question, that you want to pose?
Yes, 2 minutes is the opportunity to speak to delegates. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, please, Wyatt.
All right, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I present the